a conversation about what it's like processing grief as a self employed artist and navigating grief, trying to not only focus on creating your art, but also still managing the business side of it, the social media, the marketing, the client communication, all of those things. And something that processing so much heavy grief with having to put my fur baby down literally July 1st and really working through so much of that grief in the past month or so now, and just how much patience it has taught me to have with myself. And really, it also taught me just how much the conditions and emotional states we are in as artists truly do have so much influence on our ability to create. And there were many times that I found myself almost trying to distract myself, focusing on creating a tattoo design for a client or studying a subject to draw that I wanted to learn more about, and giving myself like little homework assignments and trying to keep myself busy and keep myself with a full schedule. And initially that did work until it didn't. And there were moments where my grief just made me feel immobilized. And something that I truly believe is just such a shared experience when it comes to processing grief is just the ebbs and flows and the waves of grief that come through. Like, one day you could feel good, you could feel great, and you could feel super alive and super energetic and creative and feeling like you want to dial in on your art. And then the next day, it could be one trigger of something that just reminds you of who you just lost. And it's like a tidal wave that just comes crashing over you. I think that we as artists, we're always just our own worst critic. We're always our worst judge, and it's easy to get really hard on ourselves. Why am I processing emotions like this? Or maybe we feel overwhelmed by our emotions, and then it becomes so difficult to concentrate on creating the art that we need to create as a tattoo artist. And not only that, but we're in an era where creating a fantastic tattoo is truly the bare minimum. It is the least that you can do at this point. And if you want to actually create a successful career as a tattoo artist, that also requires us to step out of our comfort zone, to get behind the camera, to talk to the camera, to actually talk to potential new clients that we may work with. Because at the end of the day, now it's more about the personality and the person behind the art. And it really is so true. Like, if you were to see a page that's full of just beautiful tattoos, but you don't ever see the artist's face, you don't ever see any other type of personal post where maybe you just get to know who is behind the art, you're much less likely to book with that artist than the next person who may have just as great of art, or maybe not even just as great of art, or maybe not as technical with their skills, but where they really excel is actually placing themselves in front of the camera, or actually being comfortable to chat with their audience. And it's really difficult to find the energy to do that, to create your content, or let alone to schedule all of the posts of tattoos that you haven't posted yet when you feel immobilized by grief. And that has been something I've been really learning to navigate and just give myself a lot of grace and practice a lot more patience with myself. I think just really honoring my intuition and letting my intuition lead me day by day rather than trying to stress myself out with like this long list of to-dos. Something that I've truly had to practice so much radical acceptance on when it comes to just being a solopreneur, an artist, a creative, a content creator, is that Rome wasn't built in a day. The to-do list of being a business owner truly never ends. In fact, it just changes from day to day. I think I know I used to really, really stress myself out trying to have my list of to-dos and all of these things that I know I need to complete, but there's so many different things that I do outside of tattooing. And rather than stressing myself out of not completing the entire to-do list in the deadline that I thought I was going to, I just allow all of the different variations of the to-dos, whether it's business related things, whether it's personal related things, they just kind of evolve from day to day. There's no need for me to even stress myself out about actually completing those lists all the way through, because it's just not possible. I swear every single day there's always something new that pops up, whether it's I notice something on my website needs to be adjusted, or I realize there's an email that needs to be sent, or someone that hasn't been responded to, or there is a brand that has reached out to me and I'm trying to do a collaboration with them, but I also need to take care of myself first. Like, there's just so many layers to all the different to-dos, and it's okay if they don't all get done right away. In fact, it may take me a couple weeks before we get through all of them, and that's okay. And I really hope that if this video comes across another artist or creative who perhaps may be going through their own chapter of processing grief or any other type of tough emotion, that I can serve as a reminder that you are absolutely not alone, that we definitely have shared experiences, and that it's okay to have days where maybe we just don't do anything. And in fact, I think it's important that we allow ourselves to have days where we do nothing, or we do just carve out a decent amount of time for just stillness, or things that maybe we do for just pure enjoyment. Lately, for me, I have really turned to playing around with music more and actually dabbling more into being on a very slow self-taught journey with mixing. And maybe later on down the line, I'll even have a journey of learning how to produce. Having a background as a dancer, having so much of a connection in the rave community, I'm only bound to be a little obsessed with music, and that for me has just been such a pure creative outlet that has no attachments to the outcome, just something to do for pure fun. Which, by the way, your girl just released a little mini Wubby experimental bass set on SoundCloud. My username on SoundCloud is Jelly Dubs, and I will attach the link to that set in my bio. I really hope that you take some time to listen to it and feel the wubs. I'm open to all feedback. Totally lost my train of thought. It was a medication vacation today, okay? Fuck. Alright. Oh, fuck, I forgot my makeup. Fuck! Alright, and now I remembered my last thought that I lost my train of thought on earlier. Which is... Oh my god, not me losing it again.